Welcome to our Leadership Chat series, Talking Out Cloud, brought to you by SourceFuse. My name is Liz Grint, Marketing Manager here at SourceFuse. And for anyone unfamiliar with us, we have deep expertise transforming enterprises through bespoke, scalable and secure cloud solutions, committed to digital innovation, service excellence, and customer success. And a big factor that enables us to deliver that digital transformation is being an AWS Advanced Consulting Partner with an expanding portfolio of AWS competencies and service delivery programs. And that means we're able to leverage the most advanced cloud technology tools and services for our customers. In light of this partnership, I'm delighted to be joined today by three guests who can give us their perspectives from both sides of the partnership, as well as some insights on the importance of migration versus modernization. First, we have Sundar Ram, Director of Business Development at AWS India. Great that you could join us today, Sundar.
Hey, thanks, Liz. Thanks for having me.
And next we have Gautam Ghai, co-CEO and co-founder of SourceFuse. Well, it doesn't get any higher than that in SourceFuse. So a huge thanks, Gautam, for coming on today.
Thanks, Liz, for doing this. Excited to have this chat.
Great, thanks, Gautam. And thirdly, we're joined by Surbhi Saimbi, Partner Manager at AWS. So someone we work very closely with, and he joined us this time last year on one of these chats. So for the very first time since running our Talking Out Cloud series, Surbhi will be my co-host today. Welcome, Surbhi.
Thank you so much, Liz. Really excited to co-host the today's session with you. And yes, it's been a year since my association with the Talking Out Cloud series, so really excited.
Yeah, so again, great to have you all here. And with that, I'm going to hand straight over to you, Surbhi.
Thank you. Thanks, Liz. Hi, Gautam. Hi, Sundar. Gautam, the first question to you, right? SourceFuse, you guys have been an AWS partner for several years now. Can you tell us about the partnership, the journey so far, and how has it evolved over time? I think all of us would love to know that.
Thanks, Surbhi. I like telling the story because we're an accidental partner. That's how it started. It was we had been using AWS services pretty much exclusively since I think almost 2014 and in 2013, 14 when we were getting off rack space and getting everything onto the cloud. And we met one of the senior sort of colleagues at AWS at a seminar, and he actually urged us to say that, hey, why don't you start a partnership? And we were like, what does that even mean? So since then, we've obviously evolved. We found a lot more about it. We've traversed the whole partnership path and sort of found our special place within the ecosystem, right? I mean, it's a sort of really large ecosystem of competent companies. And, sort of the key, obviously, to success is to find out what your real superpower is, to take some of your terminology and really kind of explore that. So I think we've kind of come to that place where we know now that, we've been taking a lot of our product expertise that we were, always had and kind of use that to become make modernization sort of key of what we're doing and, set ourselves up for the future.
Awesome. That's really interesting, Gautam. And I've been witness to some of that success in the last 17, 18 months that I've been associated with SourceFuse. So really excited about what we've been doing together and what we plan to do together as well. Over to you, Liz.
Thanks, Surbhi. And a question to you, Sundar. In your role as the Director of Business Development at AWS India, could you start telling us a little bit more about the importance of migration and modernization and how it helps customers?
Yeah, it's interesting you asked that. Actually, we've seen an inflection point, particularly on the back of the pandemic, where previous to the pandemic, we saw customers who were moving to the cloud were primarily doing it because either the cost arbitrage or because they just wanted to shut down data centers or they wanted to avoid capex. It was more of operational difficulty in terms of retaining people to manage and so on. But during the pandemic, we saw a significant shift where customers understood a few things about the cloud. One, the experiences that customers were demanding from them, their end customers, were a lot more digital. So customers who had been used to a more physical process they were forced to start adopting what we call as phygital, which is a combination of physical and digital processes, which means you had to fundamentally alter the way you were interacting with your end clients, which then requires you to innovate at an incredible pace, coming out with new customer journeys, coming out with new products which are suited for a new market post-COVID, where, for example, we see in the financial services segment, the sachet size of products has been shrinking. I was talking to one of the biggest asset management companies in the country last week, and they've talked about how they expect the entry point for mutual funds, which used to be about 1 lakh, has come down to 1,000 rupees, and now they're expecting it to come down further to 100 or even 10 rupees. That's just going to blow volumes out of the water. And at the same time, the revenues are not going to quite increase at the same pace. It's not going to be an order of magnitude change, which means the economics of how to handle these transactions is going to fundamentally change. And cloud has become the de facto answer for customers who have been struggling to figure out how to lower the cost by an order of magnitude or two in order to survive that movement towards sachet size products. So that was one big thing. The other big thing was even customers who had completed a migration, a lift and shift migration, as we call them, prior to the pandemic, they recognized that they were not getting the full value of the cloud. Sure, they were getting better resilience, they were getting better manageability, they were getting better security, but were they getting the agility and the innovation, which was the original promise of the cloud, by just doing a lift and shift? In most cases, the answer was no. So we have now seen that the customers have started modernizing a lot of their core systems in order to be a lot more agile. So, for example, if you're going to go out and create new experiences for customers which are going to be extremely agile, but your back office systems are still stuck in 20-year-old technology, you can't expect to change them at the same pace at which you change your systems of engagement with your end customers. So your back office systems of record, therefore, perforce had to go through a significant modernization in order to be able to take the agility and the volume requirements that the sachet size product movement and the fidgetization, if you will, was bringing up. Sorry. So these two forces combined have fundamentally altered the way people are looking at cloud now. Yes, they still look at the economics of the cloud, but they're looking at it very differently. Now it's more in terms of cost per transaction, cost per customer, cost to service a particular claim, cost to sell a vehicle, as against just doing a pure TCO comparison, because the old economics and the new economics makes it not even an apples to orange, but more like an apples to a watermelon comparison. This is no comparison. And the second thing is that the pace at which this modernization is happening, it's not that customers weren't modernizing at all prior to the pandemic. A few customers were, but now that pace has just become so breakneck that working with partners like yourselves to be able to address that market, that demand for modernization, is going to be one of the most critical success factors for us over the next 12 to 24 months.
That's fascinating, Sundar. And while this modernization has really been taking the center stage, being more prominent in the market, could you perhaps share some of the insights or the lessons that have been gained through that modernization process?
Sure, absolutely. Look, there have been quite a few lessons, but let me focus on the top 4 that I thought have had the largest impact and have resonated across maximum number of customers that we have done the modernization projects up until date. I think the first and foremost is it requires a top-down push. Otherwise, what happens is very often the first few steps towards modernization are more focused on IT, which is containerizing applications or moving a few things to serverless and so on. The benefits in terms of agility to launch new products, etc., while they probably will come in a second phase of modernization. So at that stage, for business users to say that I'm willing to live with the fact that you'll have to take some downtime in order to modernize in the first step, but I'm not going to get any benefit out of it till 6 months down the line, it requires somebody with vision at the top to drive that storyline right through the organization to get that buy-in so that people recognize it's a journey and not a one-stop shop, right? People have to recognize that This is something that's going to come over a phased journey over the next 12 to 24 months. So the leadership is absolutely critical. The second is a clear recognition of how exactly are you going to benefit by modernization. Is it going to be agility in launching new products? Is it going to be in launching new customer journeys? Is it going to be in analyzing a lot more data that's being generated by customers to understand customers at micro segment levels? Is it because you want to open up your ecosystem, your applications to an ecosystem of partners who are now going to suddenly bring in a huge amount of demand for you? What is exactly driving that modernization? And then take a step back to say, what would that future world look like? And therefore, what are the economics likely to look like? And then baseline the current economics. So, for example, if you're moving towards sachet size products, then the question of is my TCO comparable is probably not the right question to ask. The right question to ask is IT as a percentage of the cost of selling a product. Is it the same or coming down? For example, in one of the customers, we did this analysis. It costs 1.2 rupees for them to process a new policy on the IT system. The policy premium is about 10,000 rupees. So 1.2 divided by 10,000 seems small, so people are fine with it. But when you go with sachet size products, which are only 100 rupees, which is 1/100th the size, but your IT cost is 1.2, then the percentage is suddenly 100 times more. And people will get shocked by that. So that's where understanding your baseline and therefore working on technology solutions that allow you to lower the cost by 2 orders of magnitude is important, but that you can only do if you recognize the right metrics. And those metrics have to be directly linked to why you are moving to the cloud. Why are you modernizing on the cloud? You have to be clear on that. Otherwise, you could just be going after vanity metrics and suddenly you realize your costs are going through the roof. That's number two. The number 3 point, and directly relates to why we are working with people like yourself, is having the right partner to do this. It requires deep skills. It requires experience of having been through tough projects and having those battle scars to talk about. Because remember, a lift and shift is a relatively straightforward activity. I say relatively because nothing is pure and simple. But a modernization is often for the customer a new journey, a new voyage to assure that they've never seen before. So unless you can assure them that you are the navigator who knows how to command that ship, why are they going to take that perilous journey with you? Right. So that's number 3. And number 4 is skilling their own people. Right. So while they will work with partners like yourselves and cloud providers like ourselves, they also need the skills in-house to be able to architect complex solutions, to envision complex solutions, sophisticated solutions where they can act as the intermediaries between IT and business, who can help to translate requirements more accurately. And having that level of skill internally also means that we have seen the pace of innovation starts to accelerate and it becomes a flywheel of innovation, wherein every nudge only helps to accelerate it even further. So the first push has to come in the form of folks like you and we working together with them to identify those first few use cases, make those victorious, right? Otherwise, you could boil the ocean trying to do 20 things. Pick 2, 3, pick the people who are going to be part of that project, train them, make them successful, and start spinning that flywheel. That's when we see true success.
Yeah, I'm going to ask Gautam to see whether he's got anything he'd like to add on that.
I mean, I think Sundar was pretty comprehensive, but it's interesting that the pandemic seems to have been an inflection point for SourceFuse as well, in the sense that we were kind of going on and on about sort of modernization. In fact, I'd like to take credit for saying modernization-led migration 4 years ago, and nobody was talking about it. But yes, a necessity is the sort of mother of invention, as they say, and the pandemic pushed us into new ways of working, new ways of imagining product, new ways of imagining sort of workflow. All of those things have led to customers needing to innovate faster. And I think today we are seeing another disruptor in terms of the tightness of the economy and cash flows, etc., which is leading to a further need to invest. Um, we seem to be in a space where customers want to have this conversation. But I think other than all, the real magic comes in when you really get into the business of the customer, right? And you get kind of wear that consulting hat to figure out, all right, you may think this is the answer to your problem, but actually your business priorities dictate a different path, and really kind of do a bunch of experiments with the customer really quickly to figure out where they, we can find success. But, I'd like to take a particular example that we've, seen success in a financial major that we've been working with. And when we started working with, they came out with a whole big bang approach to modernization. And once they got through with that whole process with us, they realized that they couldn't afford to do it. And then we have now figured out how to break down what they need to really address. So the compliance challenges that are happening. That's another sort of factor, by the way, that's pushing and driving modernization today, especially in the Microsoft world, that is impacting customers massively in their sort of footprint, regulatory and compliance footprint as well. So my point of taking that, every business will have their own use case to figure out why their migration story, needs a modernization at the end or before, and how that looks like, and how that needs to be tailored. So that flexibility and the consultative sort of hat, and not waiting for customers to sit and define requirements, is, I think, the key to success here, because it's an ocean we're all navigating together, and customers very often don't even have the thought leadership in place to figure this out. That's at least been our experience of this.
Great, thanks, Gautam. And back to you, Surbhi.
Thanks, Liz. So Gautam, you kind of partly answered my question, right? That are you, based on what Sundar said, does your experience align with this shift towards modernization? And you answered that. But how are you and how is SourceFuse really leveraging technology and services to guide customers through the process, of moving from lift and shift to actually realizing the full value of the cloud? If you could share your insights on this, and also, what are you doing to address as well as create the market? Because you guys are also trying to create that market for modernization, right? So it'll be interesting to hear your thoughts on it.
Yeah, I mean, I'll try to sort of answer that in parts. It's a it's a complicated question. So we're doing a bunch of things. Obviously, we all know that modernization comes in different flavors. You could re-platform, you could refactor, you could basically do a bunch of things to your technology stack to kind of achieve the goal or the business goals that you want to reach, right? So we're pretty much addressing the entire gamut to help work with the customer to figure out what their strategy needs to be. So we're the initial engagement that a customer sees with SourceFuse is extremely sort of consulting based. In fact, what we're really investing in right now is that sort of pre-sales / consulting motion to really work with customers during assessments and discoveries to kind of sit with their leadership and decide where they want to go. So, once you have that, and that's also very practical. It's not some sort of shut the room, have a conversation and try to figure out where we go. I mean, the method we use is doing sort of quick POCs, and Amazon has been very, very supportive. I mean, since that ethos really vibes, I think, between what we are trying to do and what AWS has, and we've been able to do with our customers really practical motions in trying to figure out what their path ahead looks like. On the sort of technology end, while we invest in our abilities and skills, we've also been investing in a bunch of tooling that we're looking at, right? So, for example, one of the key investments SourceFuse has been making is around Arc. Arc is a platform which has all three parts that an application needs. There's an infrastructure or automation piece, there's microservices, and we've talked about it in this channel a few times, is business microservices that pretty much every business application will need, and we are continuing to develop that. And as well as there's a lot of UI UX boilerplate automation as well, and we use that as a sort of re-platforming tool when very often we are coming to customers that are not able to move or use other methods of modernization to kind of use their same application stack. So so that's sort of on the re-platform piece, and also on the refactor. We've got been developing automation around how to best use strangler patterns, etc. in without getting too kind of technical about it. How to automate and best accelerate their modernization exercise, and develop factory models, like Sundar said, to enable that flywheel to do. And the third very important part about this is train. So, SourceFuse has been investing in L&D both internally and with our customers, where we alongside trying to upscale our customers to really take on this challenge. And that really stitches the story for them, because then they're not sort of left at the end of this process trying to figure out a technology stack that their existing team has no sort of understanding or wherewithal to take on. And, we are really, then transition out. And and really being sort of a partner that takes care of the entire journey, including sort of then helping them with managed services, etc. So an entire journey is so that's how we're addressing this whole challenge. Sundar, do you have a comment there, or should I continue on to the?
No.
Yeah.
It aligns very much to what I was saying. So
Absolutely, yeah. So I just wanted this to be a bit more of a chat than me just kind of going on. The other part that we are very sort of keen on is, like you said, sort of developing the market. What we realize is certain customers are not aware of challenges that they may have, and this, like I said earlier, could be a regulatory compliance challenge, could be sort of opportunities, and they can have on the cost or infrastructure, etc. So doing CIO webinars, sort of outreaches, to the community, really. And I think that has led to a lot of sort of demand generation, because when you go into a room and you tell the CIOs, hey, Mr. CIO, do you know in 6 months' time you're going to be out of compliance and the regulator is going to come after you? You're going to get a different sort of thought process, and they sometimes have a lot of relief because they've probably not been able to address it. They're still wondering how to look at it, and hence not talking about it. And the minute you start having that conversation, they come back to you and they sit across the table, and then you can really put on the partner hat to say, how can we help you navigate this issue that we're seeing. So I mean, so preempting both problems as well as opportunities that a business leader might need to see how they could leverage the processes and modernization that we have.
Absolutely. Thanks, Gautam. This is really great. And I know Sundar has been a great proponent of partners creating repeatable assets as well, right? So I think this resonates with his thought process as well. I want to take a moment here, Gautam, and really congratulate you on SourceFuse achieving the migration competency. I know the heavy lifting it's taken, and the entire team coming together. So congratulations on that. What made you think of going for the MCP, and how do you think this helps in your customer conversations? And what's next for SourceFuse?
So we've been sort of, instead of really looking at competency as a means to an end, we really look at it as a sort of credentialing exercise. And also it helps us, and I have to congratulate AWS at this, it helps us mature our own practice. So I think that's how we use competencies today. While we started with DevOps because that was really core to us, and we've kind of had a journey alongside, and we've taken vertical competencies like healthcare, etc., which are hard to get. But MCP was quite transformative because it was a whole year that we worked through the process alongside the AWS team to make sure that the blend of SourceFuse, how SourceFuse does stuff, and the battle-tested SOPs that AWS had was sort of blended together to create a sort of a unique way of doing migrations with a modernization flavor that we're really sort of interested in doing. So we wanted to do this because we knew quite, through our earlier experience, that by doing this, our own sort of way of doing migrations and modernizations would mature, and thereby being able to give customer value. That was sort of at the core of this. Obviously, it gives us as a partner visibility and acknowledgement within the AWS system. It helps us get tools, funding, etc., which is, that's also, in my opinion, table stakes. But the way I've invited my team to look at it is to look at an opportunity to learn, to mature, and really kind of get into a mindset that is sort of cutting edge, and really, so that's how it's really helped us.
Yeah, very interesting point, Gautam, because that's how we look at competencies as well. That it's about building capability, and competency just follows, and it's more of an output to all the effort and the input metrics that partners put in. So, again, kudos to you on that. Over to you, Liz.
Thanks, Surbhi. Now this is just changing the direction of the conversation slightly. Sundar, I know that Amazon has something called a day one mentality. Can you describe for the audience what that is and how it might have shaped or defined your role?
That's an interesting question. So, day one mentality is something that Jeff had defined once a while ago. It's about being constantly hungry and being constantly paranoid that somebody out there is disrupting our business. So how do we stay ahead of the game by constantly disrupting ourselves and having the experimentation mindset, which allows us to constantly take those risks, whether they be immediate risks or moonshots, which could potentially have a 1 in 10 chance of a failure, but a reward of 100, in which case 100 into 1 in 10, I will take that chance. So we've been encouraged from day one when we are here, literally, to have that mentality. So in my team, for example, there's so many things that we do in what we call within Amazon as a scrappy style, where we want to first experiment, prove a point, and then scale on it rapidly. So if you see even the migration practice that I run today, uh, while I can't share specific numbers, if we did X number of migrations in 2018, we did nearly 42 times that many in 2022, right? So in a 4-year jump, it was a 42x jump. And it didn't happen by straight away throwing an army at it. In 2018, it was just me and a couple of others going out, talking to customers, trying to convince them on the value of migration and a little bit of modernization too, even back then, and proving a point. And then within the organization, using that data from those early results, those anecdotes to say why this is a space worth investing in. Today, we have double-digit number of people in that team who are working with partners like yourselves to help our customers. And now in my expanded role, we do similar experiments, whether it be pulling together analytics, machine learning, IoT, and databases under what we call as a one data message to our customers. So customers who are tired of having somebody come and explain a data warehouse separately to them, somebody else come and talk about the merits of machine learning, somebody else coming and talking to them about IoT. They want increasingly end-to-end messages, A. B, they want these messages to have an industry flavor. So how does it relate to my specific industry? And 3, they want the advice to be highly simplified and prescriptive. So rather than going to them with a Lego blocks approach of saying, hey, here are 20 bricks, let's play together and figure it out, they would much rather that we come to them with prescriptive guidance, having done this at hundreds or thousands of places, and saying, this is how we're going to make it work for you. But to get to that level of competence where we know this is what will work for you, we have been through rounds and rounds of experimentation internally. And the fact that a lot of the technology that we are today taking out into the market was originally stress tested within Amazon makes us that much more confident. So whether you look at DynamoDB, whether you look at our Monitron, which is a solution for tracking vibration and equipment in factories, or whether it's Amazon Personalize or Amazon Forecast, Amazon Connect, these are all solutions that have been stress tested under extremely high stress conditions like an Amazon Prime Day. So that gives us a lot more confidence to tell our customers that put your bets on us. So we are proud of the fact that the single largest audience for any given OTT event actually happened on Hotstar, which happens to be an AWS customer. So that's the way we bring our day one mentality into our roles, and that's how it helps our customers.
That's brilliant, Sundar. And I'm going to ask a cheeky question to Gautam. If you were to have this day one mentality, would it change anything about your principles or the working ethos?
No, in fact, I don't think it's cheeky at all. I really, the funny part is, for me personally, also this partnership has been quite rewarding because I've learned a lot about general leadership style and principles. As we go along, as an entrepreneur, it's you always look to mirror and learn from people who've done it. And I do believe AWS is an organization that's trailblazed. So I think we were quick to adopt. I think we've been pretty agile, and we've never, there's no complacency in SourceFuse. So that is, I think, the core of this message, right? And I feel like we only want to. Even today, I keep, like for example, there's even tactical learning, like how to write a 2-pager. I've been encouraging how to, learn writing. So there's so much to learn from AWS as an organization that it's just been it's been a journey. I won't say that I would change anything. What I would do is I would continue to emulate and look at AWS for places where we can sort of take from and add to us, and not. So that's the kind of partnership that we're looking to have.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay, I'm handing the baton back to Surbhi.
Thanks, Liz. Gautam, I think SourceFuse turning 17 this year, right? When you just reflect on the 17-year journey, what has it been like, and is there anything you would want to change in these 17 years?
So first, that makes me feel really old. Um, so, yeah. No, I mean, it's sort of, I think it's been an organization that's matured. I mean, I was also really, when we started, there was no sort of concept of the entrepreneurship. There was no word called an entrepreneur. I was just 24. And, so there was, I have grown alongside and the company has matured with it. I think what I don't want to change is our ability to, be agile, look at where the market is and kind of try to be ahead of it and really kind of strive forward. I think that's held us in good stead. Initially we were, I would say, a few mistakes we did in the first, say, maybe 5 years or maybe even 10, the first decade. We were very insular. We were like looking inwards constantly, and I'm saying this sort of, and that's a mistake entrepreneurs sometimes do make because, they're constantly trying to perfect what they're trying to sell without actually trying to get enough market feedback. So I think that changed. And there was an inflection point within SourceFuse, I think in 2017, 2018, ever since we've sort of been growing at almost a 50 to 60% cadence, and where we decided that interacting with the market, being out there, and I think AWS has really helped us do that too. By the way, I mean my initial partner manager, really kind of said that you guys have so many stories but you never tell them. You guys are, so that I think was a sort of thing I would, if I were to start again, would change, is to really kind of talk about what we've been doing, because everybody learns from it, right? There's no real harm in not being perfect and not wanting to talk about it, or that's how you evolve. So I think that's the only thing I would like to do.
What really inspired you to start SourceFuse in the first place, like 17 years back?
I think frustration, with at least in my personal sort of personal professional life. I was working for a large big four, and I used to find it just too slow. And I really appreciate them. They're a fantastic company, and but I couldn't deal with the hierarchies, and I just couldn't do the you have to be so formal at work kind of work culture. And I decided to, if I had to spend X amount of time of my life doing something, I'd rather do it my way. And I think that's what we try to emulate at SourceFuse. And I think Liz can hopefully testify to it. We have a super flat culture. We don't bother with formality. Feedback comes from all corners, and we all try to learn together. That's the kind of culture we try to have.
I agree, and I've seen proof of that as well. So awesome. Back to you, Liz.
And I agree too. So, look, finally, I've got a question to perhaps Sundar and Surbhi. I'll start with you, Sundar. So, Gautam, you mentioned earlier that SourceFuse take this modernization-led migration approach when we're migrating our clients. But what has your experience been like from the AWS perspective? What's that been working like with SourceFuse and this approach? And does it differ from other AWS partners?
Yeah, look, I would say SourceFuse has been ahead of the game in many ways in terms of embracing this need for modernization. So to Gautam's point about, speaking about it years before others probably realized that. So if I look at therefore partners, right, in general, they all evolve over time. But in terms of pace, I would say SourceFuse is definitely ahead. And that's why we are finding it that in some of the cutting edge projects that are happening right now, we are finding a melding of minds with SourceFuse, which just makes it easier for us to go in front of a customer when we are on the same page. If we weren't on the same page, then our message in front of the customer is bound to be confusing, and customer is going to be wondering, what am I really getting out of this? So the fact that we are thinking alike, we are thinking ahead of the curve, we are thinking on behalf of our customers and innovating for them on this modernization journey, I would say that's been very progressive and very refreshing.
Yeah, and Surbhi, what about you? What has your experience been like working with SourceFuse?
I've really been working closely with SourceFuse since I think December 2021. Right, so it's been almost 1.5 years now, and like Sundar mentioned, right, we're also really now going in with a modernization-led migration discussion with our customers, and obviously we also believe that we as AWS do not have the scale to cover the enormous customer base that exists today, right, and that's why we rely on partners like yourself to help us get those conversations in. And you are really one of those very few partners who we can rely on to have these conversations independently as well, right? You don't need AWS to really come with you and help you make those conversations, make those sales. So, and the success that we've seen with SourceFuse over the last 18 months or so is, I think, testimony to your efforts in this direction. So, yeah, I think we're on the right path, and AWS has also recognized and identified your strengths in this space, just like Sundar mentioned.
Oh, thanks to you both. Gautam, would you like to respond to any of that?
No, I mean, nothing in particular except that we're super excited. I mean, I think, we've made some bets. I think they have played out, and I am really excited to double down. We're investing like never before in all aspects of this, and we do, alongside AWS, see this as the next 2 years being this sort of biggest play that we've done before. So we were super excited to continue down this journey and really, make sure that we prove that we are they've also made the right bet. So that also the onus is on us as well. So we're going to make sure that happens. There's a lot of commitment.
Yeah, wonderful. Thanks, Gautam. And a huge thank you to all of you, Sundar, Surbhi, and Gautam, for being part of today's chat today.
Thanks, Liz, for having us. We enjoyed that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks, everyone.
And thank you, Surbhi, especially for being my co-host.
Thanks, Liz. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Thanks for letting me co-host this with you.
Oh, it's been wonderful. And thanks, as always, to our audience for watching. Make sure you subscribe to our channel and hit the bell below so you'll be notified when we're back with another Talking Out Cloud with SourceFuse.